Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Namaste. I am back with the tarot card of the year readings, and this is the final leg for today. We'll do a reading for 5, 6, 7, 8, lovers, sorry, Hierophant, lovers, chariot, and the strength card. And then next week, Friday, which is my usual tarot chat time, I'm going to be on early, 9 a.m. And at that time, I will do a reading for Magician through Emperor. And then I'll have my usual tarot chat at 12:30. And at that time, we will do a wrap up of the tarot card of the year readings. Okay. So on Tuesday, I will do regular live readings. So that will be, of course, there will be a theme, but I will do the other 4 cards Friday morning. Okay, so that's my plan. This is the reading for the Hierophant, also known as the shaman, the wise one, the teacher, sometimes the grandmother. It's interesting how these cards have so many alternate names. Welcome, Donna and Amanda. Thank you. I was busy, not so restful. The next break will be the one where I rest, but maybe not so much. I really like that name, Revealer of the Sacred. That is an awesome name. Knower of stars, priest, shaman, initiated into the movement of the planets and the wisdom of the serpent, guarding the keys to the realm of the unconscious. The gesture of your hand shows your calling, enlightened to choose the way of service, transforming suffering into knowing. We get to know the universe. A breath heralds your existence. And as I read that one line, I was thinking of a wise one that I worked with at Kripalu. Kripalu is a yoga institute in Massachusetts. And she was absolutely incredible master of mudra. And I have never been with a stricter yoga teacher in my life. We were practicing mantra and mudra. Mudra means a gesture. And so there's mudras of the hands. There's also other mudras as well too, but we were doing hand mudras. And so that's what we're seeing in the Hierophant card. I believe we don't see it in this particular one, but mudras are more than just gestures. They are pranic connections in the body. And when I read that line, I just thought that the Hierophant really knows that and gets that, the significance of mudras. What was the line? There was something about the gesture of the hand. Yeah. Okay, so welcome back. We're going to do a reading for, I'm going to use Donna's title, The Revealer of the Sacred. There's something about these souls that probably are born into, I want to say, a tradition. I know a Brahmin priest in India. He's a dear friend. And this is not an easy tradition to be born into, no matter where you are, what continent you are on. There's a lifetime of learning that goes into the training of this role, this archetype, this life purpose, and it saddens me when this card gets a bad rap, and I know that the institution I think what I want to separate here is the institution of the church from the Hierophant himself or herself, themselves. Because the soul of the one who has taken on this dharmic role really is beautiful and has a lot to offer and has probably gone through lifetimes of very varying priesthoods. Um, yeah, uh, native. I've worked with a lot of different spiritual ones, high frequency, high vibration, wise ones, and they're really special people. They're really special people. They've had, and sometimes too, the key thing on the card. In order to get it, to really understand it, you have to have had some experience yourself, and the secrets that are the secrets that are held and withheld, and the truly fascinating stories and connections with the divine will be shared with you when you are ready. And I think I kind of sit in awe of the devotion of people who choose this path. It's really quite something. All right, let's get to the cards. Mm. The Hierophant is connected to the fixed earth sign of Taurus. Um, Sacred. I feel a deep, deep connection to the earth um, with this card, and it makes me think of light workers who work in more pagan traditions. It also reminds me of the smoke, the smudging, the three-dimensional mortise, the statuary, and how through every lineage, the Hierophant, the shaman, attempts to bring God into a three-dimensional perspective. Um, I have so many stories I could tell you, but let's do the reading and we'll see where this takes us. In this card, the shaman is standing in the fire, and there's a lot of elemental transformation in this deck, but um, if you think about this card as the shaman in the standing in fire, transformation through fire, perhaps the shaman is at the center of the earth, the core of the earth, or at the center of the volcano. The shaman is deeply connected with transformation, and I truly believe wants is there to guide you when you are ready. So if this is a year of the Hierophant for you, I would be open to um, I would be opening to this and setting intentions this year for any kind, like to be open to a teacher from a through a lineage you may not even have ever considered studying with. And there's, of course, we could relate this card to the inner guru as well too. But I really feel that there's something very powerful in connecting with another human who has walked and who carries an inordinate responsibility in helping others burn through their karmas. There are very high frequency, um, wise ones out there who have the ability simply through touch to remove you of a karma and to take it on themselves. And this is a real thing. I've actually, yeah. So in working, all I'm saying is in working, if you have the opportunity to journey to locally to work with someone who um, has had more spiritual experiences than you have had, it's always better to do this in person. And I want to say to choose these people carefully. Um, there's also, a danger in, so trust your gut on this as well too. Hi, Karen. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. Let's see what our message is from the shaman. We have the Ace of Coins for this card, and very interesting correspondence here, image wise. You see the reflection of the shaman in that card, opening up a door in this earth, in this experience, wanting you to fully experience and fully walk through this life. So, what door will you open? What seed will you crack open? There is absolutely an action that is required here. So we'll go to the action card next. How how do you choose? How do you choose? And I think you need to allow yourself to be guided. Your teacher will come to you when you are ready. Shaman of purification. So this I really makes me happy that we get a shaman card here. I love these little synchronicities and connections. So the shamans are connected to the element of air in this deck. Purification. So purification comes in lots of different forms. Purification can come through any of the elements, really. Probably um, most accessible would be breath. Yeah. The shaman of purification. I bring cleansing and balm to the troubled spirit and the troubled heart. I journey through the mazes of life to discover those elements which, for whatever reason, may put blemishes upon your peace of mind. These I help you eliminate so that the path before you may be traveled peacefully and productively. Whenever you are hampered by regret or griefs, I can help you come to terms with these and be free of them. I find it fascinating that when we think of a headache or I don't know, a body part that's not functioning well, we think of, aches and pains and disease as something that's medical. And there's a certain kind of person that sees them as simply as something that needs to be purified. And purification is a word that gets thrown around a lot in yoga. And it's I just want you to know that it's completely, completely attainable. Um, and it's an ongoing process, this idea of cleansing and purification. Uh, and I think that's why practice is so important. If you have, especially this year, right? And I'll talk a little bit about the chariot card in terms of that in a moment. If you have had practices in the past and given up on them or forgotten about them, this would be a year to come back to those practices and think of those practices as purification because that's what practices are. They're forms of purification. Even if they seem physical, they are purifying you on many, many levels. Okay, so which fire card are we going to choose? This is the only one that's out of place. Two of flames. Okay. This one is very mysterious. What's going on here? There is a white sphere down here, and what I'm picking up on this card today, oh, and there's a sun up here. There's a sun and a moon, and I see a feminine energy holding up the sun. And what I'm seeing in this figure here, which looks like one of those statues you might see, it's a little short for an Easter Island statue, but something you would see on a Pacific island. But what I saw was this figure blowing blowing on the moon, and I was thinking about purification through breath. I was thinking about how cool it is with Reiki healing and using that with the breath. Okay, so there's an opening awareness of practices leading. Again, this is all preparation for your journey. And remember, even though I may be chattering away in about spirit, there are always more mundane ways to bring these messages to earth, something that feels more accessible to you. So, how can we make this notion of purification more down to earth, more practical? This is what I'm asking this oracle right now. Sorry, but I I can't go there. What I the message for you is this. It's that spirit is everywhere. And whether you wander in the garden of a temple or whether you I could even see you wandering in your own backyard and having an experience of connection that you've never had before. But I would suggest going to a place of silence where there's no neighbors, um, where you feel all alone and a little bit overwhelmed by the awesomeness of nature, where nature seems to have taken on an energy and a frequency that is very powerful. And there may very well be a temple in that garden. There may be um, statuary or sacred objects there as well too. But it's like you enter into this space. It's the power of nature itself that begins to awaken something in you. And that makes sense to me being in a Hierophant year because this may also being a Taurus association and an earth energy, maybe an awakening of your connection to spirit through earthly practices. And in extension, I could see the act of planning and preparing your garden, taking on a new level of meaning this year. So in your connection with the earth itself, your hands in the dirt, the the sourcing of the seeds, everything becomes more mindful. And there's a consciousness about also, and this is something that arose when we were doing the deep dive in the Herb Crafter Tarot, I think, or somewhere this came in recently, and that was we also want to leave some for the creepy crawlies, for the four-leggeds, so that in interacting with your own garden, there's like this ripple, there's this extension of your offering to and I feel like you haven't been aware of the connection, so that when you are in the garden, you are connected in a very special way to the worms and the bugs and the deer that stroll by when you're not there and things like that. And there's a there's a mindfulness, when you put your shovel in the ground, it's like, "Ooh, I gotta be careful I don't cut a worm in half," sort of thing. There's something feeling really connected and very earthy here. And so this deep reverence for Ma is gonna take you down bit of a rabbit hole, I'm sensing. Mm. I'm reading your comments and I yeah. What when I'm reading Dee's comment, I'm thinking of violent acts of purification, and that just makes me sick. Um, and we have to stand in solidarity, in some way if that comes into it comes within your reach to in this kind of a year for sure, that yes, there could be um, a sense of activism that is required of you this year as well too. Never thought of that before. Um, thank you. Thank you, Dee. Nature can quite literally take you to your knees and have that quality of that humbling quality. So I'm feeling, um, that you will be quite humbled by nature this year in every way. It's gonna break you down. It's gonna break you down. Emotionally, Donna's gonna laugh when this card turns over. Um, it's absolutely necessary to create a container. When we are going through this level of transformation with when we're actively in a space of purification, it's absolutely necessary to create a container for that. This is why ashrams are monasteries are within walls. It's important that the seekers are protected. They're protected from the negative frequencies that exist outside the walls, so they can go about their work without concern for what's going on outside those walls. And that is um, I believe, a temporary experience. So protect your sacred space and make sure that you have a plan for that. This is something you don't see very often. Though I have to say, the phrase says a hummingbird in languor. I'm surprised how long the hummingbirds linger outside my kitchen window, and I it kind of freaks me out sometimes how long they linger. And if you create sacred space, and this doesn't have to be inside, this can be outside. We can, and this is all deeply connected. The 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 awakening of oneself to God, to secret sacred teachings, and this deep reverence of nature that I'm sensing for you this year is can be as simple as I have a bunch of, hummingbird feeders that are outside my and they're out there. We have a few birds still right now outside my kitchen window. It's like you create a temple, you create a space for wildlife. It's almost like you're a protector for them. You invite their frequency into your life. It's a very different perspective. I feel as if your heart is gonna be broken open this year. Um, there's a bit of a cage that has been over you, and, um, this is gonna there's a be a busting open that's available to you. So let's focus on voice because I think voice is important here. And I wanna say in response to the 5 of feathers that choosing silence is often the best option. Choosing silence is often the best option. You simply take a breath in and a breath out, and you choose not to respond. And that in turn gives you space. That gives you space. All right, so let's finish with sankalpa. What is sankalpa? Very difficult. It's difficult to translate words from Sanskrit into English. A sankalpa is a heartfelt uh, intention that can take on a very mundane quality. But if we pare it down and work with it, we can find the essence of an intention and elevate its intention to its and find its essence. And a sankalpa is something that we repeat on a daily basis, um, silently, usually to ourselves. It's something that is done in the practice of yoga nidra. A sankalpa, these sorts of intentions. Swami Satyananda said that once you find your sankalpa, you keep it for life until it comes true. And if you repeat it um, daily, eventually it will come true if you believe with your whole heart that it is. And so it is repeated in the affirmative, short affirmative sentence is repeated about 3 times, a couple of times a day, and it becomes like a mantra, but it's, of course, spoken in your own language, and it's from your creation. So I wanna say part of this practice of silence is and this whole idea of practices that I was talking about, learning about, Sankalpa might be something that is of interest to you. Okay. There's always so much more I could say, but I'm gonna leave you with that. I will be back shortly for the next reading. Namaste.